It was November 2008. Barack Obama had just been elected the first African-American president of the United States. And the energy in the streets of Washington, D.C. was electric. It was palpable. A few days after that historic election, after I had celebrated in the street and drunk champagne with strangers next to the White House, I found myself in the Corcoran Gallery of Art, walking through an exhibit of Richard Avedon's photography. It was an exhibit called Portraits of Power. In it were featured portraits of artists, athletes, musicians, all sorts of luminaries from the 20th century. There was even a portrait of Barack Obama that Avedon had taken of him shortly before Avedon passed away. But there was one portrait, one image in particular, that stopped me in my tracks. Generals of the Daughters of the American Revolution. My great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, that's 5 greats, was a man named Benjamin LeMasters. He fought in the Revolutionary War, serving under George Washington, and was rumored to cross the Delaware in the very boat that Washington himself did. I'd known since I was a very small girl that I might be eligible to be a member of the DAR, but I never thought very much about it. I did, however, think about revolution. I had been living in Washington, D.C. since 1997. I lived in neighborhoods that had once been razed by civil rights riots that had been rebuilt into renewed centers of urban life. I had seen the struggles that came along with gentrification of new neighbors learning how to live side by side. I was also in D.C. on September 11th, and I watched the black smoke and the helicopters circle the sky. And so I found my fighting revolutionary spirit from good old Ben LeMasters sort of boiling in my blood. And here I am in 2002 on the National Mall protesting the invasion of Iraq. Here I am 10 years later in 2012 in the pages of Under the Radar magazine. It was their protest issue. And as you can see, over those 10 years, I kind of moved from protesting against to protesting for. Well, back in 2008, like I said, that energy was absolutely electric. Anything felt possible. And it really felt like the work that I'd done in DC over that past decade, marching in the streets, raising my sign, lifting my voice to be heard, it seemed like it was making a difference. It felt like America was getting ready to break out of its chrysalis and open its wings into a whole new era. In the years that followed, however, things seemed to change. I moved away from Washington, D.C. I moved to Omaha, Nebraska, and I started to feel a little more removed from the political process. And I started to feel like maybe my voice didn't matter anymore. And I started to wonder if there was anything that I could do, anything that one person could do to really make a difference. And as I thought of that, I went back to Avedon's image, to the generals of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And I thought, these women might have the blood of revolutionists running through their veins, and I might. But what does a new revolutionist look like? And what is truly revolutionary today? Is there anything that one person can do to make a difference? And if revolution is afoot, what does it look like? And what are we fighting for? At this point, like I said, it's 2011, the years are passing. America's deficit is rising, the disparity between the haves and the have-nots is increasing, and the political infighting is just increasing like mad. And I'm really not sure if there's anything I can do. I'm a musician, a singer, a songwriter. I have a band called the Mynabirds, and so I started exploring this idea in song. I thought back to protest songs, folk protests, punk protests, to a lot of the music that inspired me to start writing in the first place. I thought about the artists, the great thinkers, particularly the women who inspired me to start writing, to find my voice, these women who I thought were bold, who I found to be revolutionaries themselves. These are some iconic images that I was really drawn to when I was researching these women. Women like Gloria Steinem, Nina Simone, Sojourner Truth, Buffy St. Marie, Georgia O'Keeffe, PJ Harvey, Yoko Ono, Kim Gordon. I love this t-shirt that Kim is wearing in this image. It says, "Girls invented punk rock, not England." And I really was sort of calling on their spirit, their boldness, their strength, their courage to speak my own truth. And I really wanted to write about what is it that one person can do, what is it that one person can say to influence the world around them. In doing my research, Gloria Steinem's book, Revolution from Within, became the pillar for that album. And at the center of that is Gandhi's wisdom, be the change you wish to see. And that seemed like the one thing I could really cling to. In all of the uncertainty around me, the one thing I could control is myself. I named the album Generals. It was a nod to Avedon's photo and also to my own heritage. And for the album art, I decided I wanted to have a warrior portrait made. And to me, a warrior portrait is this idea, it's this image of what I would look like the instant before I went into a metaphoric battle for everything I believe in. This is that portrait. Sometimes I look at this woman and she looks like an absolute stranger to me. She's focused, she's determined, she's kind of like a fierce lioness who will tear the throat out of anyone who dares cross her or tries to harm her cubs. I may not have any cubs, I may not have any children, but I too take very, very seriously the idea of protecting the future generation, of feeding that generation what it is we want to see grow in them. And so, like I said, this woman sometimes doesn't look like me. When this picture was taken, it was 2011. On the eve of another election year, again, the divide between the haves and the have-nots is increasing, the deficit is increasing, the political infighting is increasing. And a people who can't seem to scrape together enough money to properly fund their public education system could somehow find millions and millions and millions of dollars to pour into a campaign. And I thought, what are we doing? We have millions of dollars to spend on television commercials, but we can't buy books for kids. And so I thought, what can I do? Is there anything I can say or do that might make a difference? Besides just writing a song, besides making an album, besides making art. And so I went back to that revolutionary spirit, summoned that fighting spirit of good old Ben LeMasters. And I decided to make a protest project. The New Revolutionists is a project, a portrait project that features warrior portraits of women from all over America. And the idea with this protest project is that I didn't want to focus on what's wrong with America. I wanted to focus on what's right. I wanted to shine a light on what's right. And so every woman who's featured in this project has been nominated by someone else. They received an email from the person who nominated them that said, I think you're a revolutionary in your own right. You make a difference, you make waves in your own corner of America every day. You inspire me to be bold. And this is not about how you see yourself. You may not think you're a revolutionary, but I do, and this is about how I see you. So each woman was invited to have their own warrior portrait taken, and I absolutely love the diversity of portraits that you see here. There are mothers, teachers, activists, women who run nonprofits on shoestring and non-existent budgets. They stretch money to feed and grow the next generation. And they do this despite the powers that be. They don't need permission from the government to do their work, which was really inspiring to me. And as I did this project, I really had to think about the word revolution and revolutionary and what does that mean? And I realized I couldn't define that for everyone. I mean, I looked in the dictionary and I saw what it means, and I thought about socially, who do we name as revolutionaries? And then I thought about the mass-produced t-shirts you see with images of Che Guevara that are sold in shopping malls, ceramic coffee mugs with inspirational quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. Not that there's anything wrong with that, I think that's kind of great, but we're definitely inundated with this idea of revolution and what it means, maybe revolution light. So for this project, the women who were nominated, that idea of revolution was really left up to the person who nominated them. And I really love the diversity of portraits that rolled in. Some of them were taken by professional photographers. Others were taken on cell phones. Some women are carrying the weapons that they take to their metaphoric battles every day: paintbrushes, typewriters, a disarming smile. And you may not know many or even any of these women featured here. And I think that's so important. To me, this was a project about shining a light on women who are doing important work every day who may not be making headlines. Also featured in the project were a few women that you might know. I had the honor of meeting Roseanne Cash at an event in Omaha a few years back. And I've always admired her strength, her courage, her songwriting, her activism, the way she uses her voice to stand up for herself and for others. And so I sent her an email nominating her for the project. I said, I'd really love for you. I'd be honored if you'd be a part of this, and if you'd want to nominate some other women as well. And she wrote me back pretty quickly, and she was very excited. She said, oh, I'm so glad you're doing this. This is a great project. I'm really excited. I'd love to be a part of it, but I have one kind of big concern. And I said, okay, yeah, tell me, what is it? She said, the portrait of yourself and of some other women that have been taken already, you look kind of mean. And I don't really want to be a part of a project that is sort of maybe could be seen as man-hating or being an obstacle to change. And women of my generation, we fought very hard to build bridges, to be welcoming, to do what we could to bring people together rather than to push them apart. And I said, I think that is very important, and I love that, and I appreciate that. And for me, it was important to me to say, I'm looking directly at you. I'm not going to let history happen around me without doing anything. So no, I'm watching you. And that was what was important for me to portray in my own portrait. She had her portrait taken. Here she is on the left. And she looks exactly how she described she wanted to look. She looks beautiful, strong, confident, very welcoming and disarming. In the center is Kathy Valentine. This is one of her friends who she nominated for the project. You might recognize her. She's a musician and songwriter. She was part of the band The Go-Go's. And then Liz Winstead, who is a comedian, author, and co-creator of The Daily Show. And I was honored to have these women be a part of this project. But at the same time, the thing that I think speaks volumes about it is that these women who you might know and the women who you might not know are all featured together in this beautiful tapestry, side by side, where each one of their work carries the same weight. When I started this project, I wasn't sure how big it might grow. I had some hope that it might be the next big inspirational social media meme, and had visions of receiving hundreds, maybe thousands of portraits and submitting, spending hours uploading them to this website. And the day that the project website launched, my publicist called me and she said, Laura, I've got some good news. The Huffington Post wants to feature an article on your project. And I thought, oh my God, this is it. I'm not going to be able to tour for my record because I'm going to have to be sitting in front of a computer uploading these portraits of inspirational revolutionary women, and what could be worse? That sounds amazing. Shortly after that article ran, the feature ran, I was getting emails and text messages and phone calls from friends saying, congratulations, this is amazing press. And I got a call from one of my friends, and she said, oh, that is so great. What great press you just got for this project. It is too bad about the comments. And I said, what do you mean, too bad about the comments? And I've learned one thing as an artist, that is never read the comments. You will go into a deep, dark, black rabbit hole, and you will never come out, and you will never make another piece of art again. So I've never actually read the comments, but my understanding is that they basically said, there's not enough diversity in these women. These aren't real revolutionaries. And who does this privileged blonde girl think she is talking about revolution? I thought, wow, who am I to talk about this? Who do I think I am? That really cuts you to your core, that sort of self-doubt and self-criticism. And I responded not by commenting at the comments, but instead I posted an open letter on the website and I said, please, this is our project. This can be as strong and diverse as we make it. If you feel that someone's not represented here, if you feel that there's not diversity, nominate someone. You're a part of this, please. Let's do this together. And as a result of that article, I think that I got one submission. A woman named Melissa Candido nominated her friend Duchess Harris. She's a professor of American Studies. She's an author of a book called Black Feminist Politics from Kennedy to Obama, and she's a crusader for autism. And I love this portrait. It's one of my favorites. She looks so joyous, so confident, so peaceful. Her friend took it just in a lovely moment that's shared between friends. And this, to me, spoke volumes about what I was trying to do, because she did it. She didn't just stand on the sidelines and complain. She got involved. She participated. She was the change she wanted to see. This is Deborah Boggs Saunders. She was a single mother. She worked full-time and went to school full-time to make a better life for her child. When she was in her 50s, she discovered that she had a talent for writing poetry. And when she couldn't find a publisher, she self-published her first book of poems. She might have the blood of Benjamin Lemasters running through her veins, and she might be my mother, but I do think she's a one-woman revolution. She's always taught me that standing up for what I believe, that's lifting my voice and using my voice is important, and that I can't just stand by and let my life happen to me. I need to make it happen. When I was going through a particularly dark period of self-doubt and criticism, and I wasn't sure if I should keep writing music or doing what I'm doing, she wrote a poem for me called Out of Many Voices. And to me, the wisdom of her words is on par with anything I've learned from Gloria Steinem or from Gandhi. Out of the many voices, believe that your voice is the purposed one, and let it go freely and unrestrained to your brothers and sisters of this age and throughout eternity. Let it be as it is intended. Let it flow without remorse. Let it be as sweet waters from the spring of eternity, from a realm where no one can cease the flow. Out of many voices, one will shine forth as the one sent to be heard. Let your heart sing it with joy, and joy in the singing. Others will hear the song and marvel in its wholeness. Lift your voice, and your voice will lift the world. Sometimes the most difficult battle we can face is fighting to silence that voice of inner criticism, that voice of shame and self-doubt. And even as I stand here before you today, I hear it speaking to me. It says, "Who do you think you are? What authority do you think you have to talk about revolution?" And I do what I like to think Gloria Steinem probably does too. I take a deep breath, and I look that voice in the eye, and I say, "Can you keep it down over there? I've got work to do." Lifting your one singular voice to speak your truth, to stand up for yourself, to stand up for others, to thank those who encourage you to use your voice. That is absolutely empowering and truly revolutionary. Thank you.